This episode is brought to you by King of Beards. This is my online shop where you can find high quality products that will help you grow a strong, healthy beard that not only looks great, but also will smell great as well. Definitely the people in your life that like to get up and close with you are gonna thank you for this one. These are products that I use personally. The link is below in the video description section, and if you use my coupon code KING, you'll get 15% off on your first order. Singapore is small, but the government has a firm implementation of the laws and policies. Any wrong move can cause a person to be fined. Like spitting in a public area, for instance, you can be fined for that. Also, if you smoke in public areas, you are most likely to get into some trouble with the law. Even wearing an inappropriate dress in public can also land a person in jail. However, Singapore's strict adherence to the rules has resulted in a world-class economy with living standards that are way higher than many other nations. In at the number 9 spot, we have Japan. People believe that for many years, the feudal system that was in place in Japan still has its influence on the structure and workings of the modern government. The hierarchy of authority can be found in almost any structure in the country, including in the home, of course, in the school system, office and workplaces, you name it, it's all there. So pretty much everybody respects the person who is superior to them. All of the companies in the country adhere to the strict law that all employees from the CEO down to the janitor are supposed to excel in their work. Number 8 leads us to China. In the midst of territorial disputes with its neighbors, China has projected a very positive image by being open to other nations. However, one must keep in mind that China is still a communist country. Any person or agency who gives rise to anti-government propaganda, well, they're silenced pretty much immediately. The youth of the country are also deterred from being fascinated and influenced by Western culture and Western thought. And the media also is under control. Access to the internet has several restrictions, and websites like Google and social media platforms like Facebook are censored and blocked. Nobody is allowed to talk about rebellion or change or reform or anything like that in China. From there, let's move on to number 7, Cuba. The birthplace of Cuban cigars and the late Fidel Castro, it's primarily seen as a world-class vacation destination. But behind its beaches and Latin music and all of that, Cuba remains a communist country, and those who speak against the government, well, they face serious consequences. The internet is regularly screened, and writers who post anti-government sentiments will almost certainly face jail time if they're arrested. Cubans know how to party, of course. It's a great spot for vacationing. However, playing certain types of music, reggaeton music, well, it can be prohibited. From there, let's look at Equatorial Guinea at number 6. In the country, people are discouraged from learning how to read and write, according to many reports. Now, the rate of tourism, though, in the country is also very low due to certain factors. President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Basogo, he's a man that runs the country and has been in power since 1979. TV and radio stations are under the control of the government as well. Also, foreigners who are allowed to enter Equatorial Guinea are closely monitored and prohibited from filming scenes and conditions that portray any type of poverty. Number 5, we have homosexual intercourse, which is illegal. Now, this law caused a lot of media uproar. The law prohibits any kind of inappropriate intercourse that is against the law of nature. So if you're caught by police hooking up with somebody of the same gender and doing the business, yeah, you could go to jail. At number 4, yes, you could be charged a penalty for a third child in Kerala State. Yeah, so this stuff doesn't just happen in China. In Kerala State, if you want a third child, then you have to pay a penalty. Families can have up to 2 children in Kerala, and any more will get you a fine of 10,000 rupees. $10,000, yeah, that would have been a lot. But yeah, 10,000 rupees, it works out to be about $160 US. Now this law was passed to help control the population. But if you do have the money, I guess you can just be popping out babies like crazy. You just pay the fine and that's it. Now, here's an interesting law. Like, there's laws for recruiting Indian Air Force pilots. Now, a main requirement for an Indian Air Force pilot is that the size of the pilot's legs should be a minimum of 90 centimeters. So even for tall people, like let's say if you're above 6 feet, if their legs are not 90 centimeters, they cannot be a pilot in the Indian Air Force. I've been trying to wrap my brain around that one, but I'm sure there's some sort of reason for that. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm just saying, it just sounds weird. What if it's like 91 centimeters? Then what do you do? Now, number 2, we have the Factories Act of 1948. Now, this says that women are not allowed to work at night in factories, even though there are many other jobs that require women to work at night. And the final law that's super strange is you can't fly a kite without a permit. A kite is also considered an aircraft. So according to the Indian Aircraft Act of 1934, you actually need to have a permit to make, possess, or even fly a kite. Yeah, just like an airplane. That also goes for flying drones as well, but that's just not as weird as flying a kite. Yeah, it's illegal to do that without permission in India. You may want to be careful what you say about anybody in the government. So Russia's new criminal code actually expands the definition of treason, and now if you're a critic of the government, that can actually turn you into a traitor. So be careful what you say about the government. Also, as of July of 2014, there's a law that came into effect that bans the use of profanity in theaters and films and in other media. And like bloggers in Russia, they're actually forbidden to use any sort of profanity at all. And yeah, if you're found guilty, you face paying some fines. Now, did you know that it is illegal to drive a dirty car in the city of Chelyabinsk? So guys, yeah, hear this. Driving a dirty car can get you a fine of upwards to 2,000 rubles. That's about $62 US. There's also another rule in Russia where the patronym can only be placed immediately after the given name of somebody. So let's just say, for example, if your name was Ivan, Ivanov, Ivanovich, that would be completely unacceptable. And if you're not familiar with grammar, and just like me, I had to just Google it before I filmed this video, a patronym or a patronymic is actually the component of a personal name based on the given name of a person's father or other female ancestors. And for all you ladies out there that love lingerie, well, check this. The sale and import and production of lace panties is completely prohibited. So allegedly, lace underwear for women does not comply with the technical requirements that were adopted in Russia. So if you're a single guy and you're thinking about taking a stroll through a mall, well, you might have to think again. You see, many malls are families only zones, and single men will be turned back at the door before they even enter. So in order to be allowed in, a man actually has to be with either a female or some other type of family member. Okay, so if you're going to a public gathering outside in public, no, it's not happening. Not in Saudi Arabia. I mean, all sorts of public gatherings are completely banned. From just celebrations about anything to peaceful protests. No, not in public. In Saudi Arabia, not gonna happen. And when we go shopping, it's just as much for the ladies as it is for guys, where we like to try on clothes to see if it fits well, to see if it actually looks good on our body. And that's how a lot of times we base what we buy at the stores. But you see, in Saudi Arabia, when a woman goes to a store and they see something that they like and they go to the dressing room, they can't try on the clothes because it's the thought of a woman taking off her clothes in public makes everybody go nuts. So I'm sorry ladies, you'll just have to just buy it based on how it looks, and hopefully it fits well, and hopefully you like it when you get home. Now for all you lovebirds out there, you may not like this one, because florists in Saudi Arabia were actually forbidden from selling red roses on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day. As well as gift shops, they were actually forbidden from selling anything that was shaped like a heart, and girls were actually forbidden from wearing anything red to school. So if you actually broke this rule, you would risk being shut down. Like really, your store would get shut down by the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice. And you know, this group of people is often commonly referred to as the religious police. So yeah, if you're a female student, you went to school in a red shirt, boom, you're sent home. You gotta change that bad boy. Now, it was not until the year 2017 where shops were actually allowed to sell red roses. So the spirit of Valentine's Day now actually has a glimmer of hope to survive and thrive in a country like Saudi Arabia. Now let's talk about women actually being forbidden to drive cars in Saudi Arabia. Now there's a fatwa, which is an Islamic ruling, that states that women should not drive because if they do so, it could lead to the removal of their hijab, or it could also lead to interactions with men, as well as other taboo actions. Now, in case you didn't know, Saudi Arabia is the only country in the world that banned women from driving. But you see, this was the case up until last year. Now, the government used to claim that there was no law stopping women to drive. However, in Saudi Arabia, because the fatwas have the law of the land, it supersedes all other law. And just recently, June of 2018, Saudi Arabia actually lifted the ban for women to drive for the first time since the 1950s. Now for this next law, we visit the clothing and shopping stuff again. In Saudi Arabia, only women can work in lingerie stores. According to a report that was published by the Los Angeles Times, only women were allowed to work in lingerie shops. Now this law apparently is for women who would be uncomfortable buying underwear from men. I mean, like, I get it, you know, it's intimate apparel, you know, lingerie, underwear. I get it, yeah, women, it's not really a weird law, it's just, yeah, okay, it's one of those interesting ones, one of these laws that have that gray area of like being interesting. It's not really weird or controversial, I don't think.